Mysteries. They're so mysterious, right? Some mysteries get solved incredibly quickly by great detectives. Some take much longer to solve. However, a select few never get solved. Today, in no particular order, I will be bringing you 25 of the creepiest unsolved mysteries from around the globe. So, lock your door, turn off your lights, and let's get into these unsolved mysteries from around the globe. Shortly after midnight on May the 14th, 2008, Brandon Swanson drove his car into a ditch on his way home from celebrating the end of the spring semester with his fellow students. Uninjured, he got out and called his parents on his cell phone. Unsure of his exact location, he told them he believed he was near Lind, and they drove out to pick him up. However, they were unable to locate him. Swanson remained on the phone with them until he abruptly ended the call 45 minutes later after exclaiming, "Oh shit." He has not been heard from or seen since. A broadcast signal hijacking of two television stations in Chicago, Illinois was carried out on November 22, 1987. The perpetrators were wearing a Max Headroom mask and costume, accompanied by distorted audio. The first incident took place for 25 seconds during the sports segment of WGN-TV's 9 p.m. news broadcast. The second occurred around 2 hours later for about 90 seconds during the PBS affiliate WTTW's broadcast of Doctor Who. What you are about to see is the first hijacking that night that occurred at 9 o'clock during the sports news. Please enjoy.
Cutting left to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown!
McMahon and McKinnon 14-0 Bears. Then the defense, which hadn't put up a sack in 12 quarters, finally did. Well, if you're wondering what's happened.
The hacker made references to Max Headroom's endorsement of Coca-Cola, the TV series Coach Cargo, WGN news anchor Chuck Sworsley, and all the greatest world newspaper nerds, a reference to WGN's calls letters, which stands for World's Greatest Newspaper. A choreographed panel swiveled back and forth, mimicking Max Headroom's geometric background effect. The video ended with a pair of exposed butt cheeks being spanked with a fly swatter before normal programming resumed. The culprits were never found or caught. Something tells me that they never will, considering that this is nearly 40 years old at this point. However, stuff happens, and get ready for one of the most disturbing clips you will ever see. Please enjoy.
I'll get you a hot drink, man.
Some dry clothing.
Jack the Ripper was an unidentified serial killer active in the largely impoverished areas around the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. He's credited with 5 kills, however that number could be much higher. No one knows what happened to him, although it is rumored he died during the sinking of the Titanic in the year 1912. The smiley face murder theory is a theory that alleges that a number of young men found dead in bodies of water across several Midwestern states from the late 1990s to the 2010s didn't actually drown, as concluded by law enforcement agencies, but were the victim of a serial killer. No one knows who the smiley face killer is. However, it is very, very likely he's still out there and at large. Sleep tight. Christmas Eve 1945, a fire destroyed the Sodder home in Fayetteville, West Virginia. At the time, it was occupied by George Sodder, his wife Ginny, and 9 of their 10 children. During the fire, George, Ginny, and 4 of the 9 children escaped. The bodies of the other 5 children have never been found. The Sodders believed for the rest of their lives that their 5 missing children survived. They hired a detective to try and find their missing kids, however, he also disappeared. The family did, however, later receive what may have been a picture of one of the 2 boys as an adult during the 60s. Their one surviving daughter, along with their grandchildren, have continued to publicize the case in the 21st century, in the media and online. If you know where the Sodder children are, please let them know. The Devil's Kettle is a waterfall in northern Minnesota where one half of the water falls into a hole in the rocks and is never seen again. Local geologists have thrown stuff down there and nothing is ever seen again. When you consider the types of rocks in the area, it's even more confusing on why this seemingly endless hole is in North Minnesota. Weird. Really weird. JonBenet Ramsey was murdered in her own house. Interestingly and creepily, her ransom letter was also written inside of her house. Suspects include her parents and her brother. However, at the moment, no one has been charged, and it remains one of the creepiest and most unsettling cases left unsolved. No one knows who did it, and it's likely no one ever will. Creepy. Dan Cooper is the cover name of a man who hijacked a Boeing 727 aircraft in the northwest United States, in the airspace between Portland, Oregon and Seattle, Washington, on the afternoon of Wednesday, November 24th, 1971. The man purchased his airline ticket using the alias Dan Cooper, but because of news miscommunication, he became known in popular lore as D.B. Cooper. He extorted $200,000 in ransom and parachuted to an uncertain fate. Despite an extensive manhunt and an FBI investigation, the perpetrator has never been located or identified. It remains the only unsolved case of air piracy in commercial aviation history. The legend of the Green Children of Woolpit concerns 2 children of unusual skin color who reportedly appeared in the village of Woolpit in Suffolk, England, sometime in the 12th century, perhaps during the reign of King Stephen. The children, brother and sister, were generally normal appearance except for the green color of their skin. They spoke in an unknown language and would only eat raw boiled beans. Eventually, they learned to eat other food and lost their green color. But the boy was sickly and died soon after he and his sister were baptized. The girl adjusted to her new life, but she was considered to be rather loose and wanton in her conduct. After she learned to speak English, the girl explained that she and her brother did come from St. Martin's Land, a subterranean world inhabited by green people, and green people only. The Colonial Parkway murders were committed by an apparent serial killer, believed to have murdered at least 8 people along the Colonial Parkway of the U.S. Commonwealth of Virginia between 1986 and 1989. During that time, 3 couples were murdered, and 1 couple is missing and presumed to be dead. All in all, he ended up claiming 8 people's lives. The killer has never been identified, and it's very likely he will never be identified. This will go down as an unsolved highway murder case, and a creepy one at that. On December 17th, 1967, Harold Holt, the Prime Minister of Australia, disappeared while swimming in the sea. An enormous search operation was mounted in and around Cheviot Beach, but his body was never recovered. Holt was eventually declared dead, and his memorial service 5 days later was attended by many world leaders. It's generally agreed that his disappearance was a simple case of accidental drowning, but a number of conspiracy theories surfaced, most famously that he had been taken captive by a Chinese submarine. In the year 1900, 4 men disappeared off the face of the earth in the Eilean Mor Lighthouse. Their logs detailed a storm that had been battering the lighthouse for days. The final log stated the storm had passed. When a cargo ship came to deliver them food, they couldn't find any of the men. They checked the log and read everything, only to come to the horrifying conclusion that there was never a storm. It is currently unknown what happened to those 4 men. The most common theory is that they were washed into the sea. However, conspiracy theories say it's UFOs or another dimension. This is a weird disappearance, I'll say that much. UVB 76 is a radio station that has been going strong with static for nearly 46 years. Throughout the station's long life, it has only been interrupted 3 times by a Russian man who reads off random names, among other things. It is easily one of the most mysterious and disturbing radio stations in the world. You can listen to it live with a quick Google search, but I would advise that you don't. It's really creepy. The missing 411 refers to a group of people who all mysteriously disappeared in U.S. national parks. It's unknown if this was done by a killer or it's just a major coincidence that they all died in similar ways. Info on this is hard to find, maybe because the US government is trying to keep it a secret from us. But who knows? The Kaz-2, also known as the Ghost Yacht, is a 9.8-meter yacht which was found drifting 88 nautical miles off the northeastern coast of Australia on April 20th, 2007. The fate of the 3-man crew remains unknown, however it's speculated they drowned. The mysterious circumstances in which they disappeared have been compared to the Mary Celeste, another very famous, infamous ghost ship. What list of unsolved mysteries would be complete without Area 51? Area 51 is rumored to hold aliens and alien spacecraft by the general public. The US government says it's a normal airbase, however, they're very, very secretive about this specific airbase. In 2019, a raid was supposed to take place, however the government prevented that. They really, really don't want us seeing them aliens. Come on, US government, we know that you're hiding them there. The Datlov Pass incident was an event in which 9 Russian hackers died in the northern Ural Mountains between February 1st and 2nd, 1959, in very uncertain circumstances. The experienced trekking group were all from the Ural Psychological Institute and had established a camp on the slopes of the Kolotskinkal, an area now named in honor of the group's leader Igor. During the night, something caused them to tear their way out of their tents and flee the campsite, all inadequately dressed for the heavy snowfall and sub-zero temperatures. After the group's bodies were discovered, an investigation by Soviet authorities determined that 6 had died from hypothermia, while the other 3 showed signs of physical trauma. 1 had a fractured skull, and 2 others had major chest fractures. The body of 1 was missing a tongue and both of his eyes. Numerous theories have been put forward to account for the unexplained deaths, including animal attacks, hypothermia, avalanche, winds, or panic, military involvement, or some combination of these. Another theory is that a mysterious man captured in one of the pictures murdered them all in their sleep. However, that's just a theory. The Bermuda Triangle is known for the disappearance of many planes, ships, and people. No one really knows why this triangle specifically has so many lives claimed within its borders. However, some people think it's aliens or the government. It should also be noted that planes and boats sail through here all the time, with nothing happening. Maybe it's only certain planes and ships that are affected, or maybe it's something else. Maybe a sea monster? Who knows? Gloomy Sunday is linked to around 19 people who committed suicide in the 30s. The song is fairly depressing if you listen to the whole thing, however, it is incredibly odd so many people chose to go with this song playing. It is also known by the name of the Hungarian suicide song. In the video you see on screen right now, we see Elisa Lam thinking she's being watched in an elevator. This footage went viral when her body was found dead in the water storage system on the roof of the hotel she was staying at. No one knows if it was a suicide due to her being haunted by a paranormal spirit or if she was murdered. The footage is truly unsettling if you watch it. It's almost like she's being hunted by someone or something. This is truly bone-chilling video. The Devil's Footprints was a phenomenon that occurred during February 1855 around the ecstasy in East and South Devon, England. After heavy snowfall, trails of hoof-like marks appeared overnight in the snow, covering a total distance of some 40 to 100 miles. The footprints were called so because some people believed that they were the tracks of Satan, as they were allegedly made by a cloven hoof. The footprints did not stop for houses, as they walked up the walls and on the roof. No living creature from this world could do that. Sad Satan is a PC game built with the Terror engine, first reported on the YouTube channel Obscure Horror Corner on June 25, 2015. Following initial reviews, the channel's video of the game was picked by a number of English-language publications and later internationally. The creator of the game was allegedly a man from Lubbock, Texas, named Gary Graves. The current whereabouts of Obscure Horror Corner and Gary are unknown. It is likely that either they never existed, or they have been murdered. At his farm near Odon, Indiana, William Hacker finished having breakfast with his family and left the house. On his way to the barn, he smelled smoke. When he hurriedly returned to the house, he discovered a fire in the upstairs bedroom. Note, the house had no electricity. The local volunteer fire department was called in and the blaze was quickly extinguished. However, that was only the start of the Hacker family's long ordeal. After the truck left, another fire broke out, this time in a mattress in the upstairs guest room. It seemed as though the fire had been set from inside the mattress. Throughout the day, more fires broke out all over the house, some under the gazes of astonished witnesses. By 2 p.m., more firefighters were called in, and by the end of the day, 28 seemingly spontaneous fires were extinguished. The Plague Doctor video is an early 2015 viral video sent to GadgetZZ.com, the Swedish tech blog that publicized it. The black and white segment is 2 minutes in length. Its title came from the plain text of a base 64 string written on the DVD. It depicts a person wearing what appears to be a Plague Doctor costume, walking and standing around in a dilapidated abandoned building with a forest visible through former window openings in the wall behind it. Accompanied by a soundtrack of loud, discordant buzzing noise, the masked figure holds up a hand with an irregularly blinking light. The film did not have any credits or claims to its ownership. In North American folklore, Bigfoot are said to be hairy, upright-walking, ape-like creatures that dwell in the wilderness and leave footprints. Depictions often portray them as a missing link between humans and human ancestors, or other great apes. They're strongly associated with the Pacific Northwest, particularly Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, and North California. Individuals have claimed to see creatures all across North America all over the years.